Hello folks, I'm going to show you a quick screencast, hopefully really quick screencast of a project called Mirth. It is an open source HL7 interface engine, and basically what this screencast I want to do is I want to set up an HL7 listener. I would like to grab some values out of the segments of that HL7 message and populate them in the database. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. First of all, for purposes of this demo, I built a database, and in that database, it's a very simple database. I have patients and I have orders. Two tables. The one we'll be dealing with here is patients. I want to insert a patient into a database. To front end that, I wrote a quick Ruby on Rails application to list out those patients so we can see them being populated in real time. And that's about it. So let's get started with Mirth. We start Mirth by launching the startup script. And once Mirth has booted, we can go ahead and log in. Takes a second to initialize. I'm going to log in as admin. Okay, now we have the initial status pane of Mirth. Once we log in, we see the status of all of our deployed channels. Now, channels is a concept you're going to have to get comfortable with. Basically, I think of channel as a task that I want to do with HL7 messaging. Whether I want to send an email with it, whether I want to store it in a database, whether I want to read a database, something I want to do to either read or generate an HL7 message. So here is all of our channels. We're going to go ahead and get started. We're going to create our channel. We're going to give it a name. We are going to be accepting an inbound one because we're going to be listening for HL7 messages. Okay, and what we want is a router because we want to be able to transform some of the data in there and store it into variables and send it to several different systems. So we're going to go ahead and save that. Now is our channel editor that launches. First off the bat, I usually enable mine and start them right off the bat. That's your choice, but that's typically what I do. Now, source. We're going to be setting up a listener. This particular listener is going to listen on port 6661, the default. Okay. Our destination, we have a choice of multiple destinations here. We can either write it to a file, write it to a database, or send it out outbound to another HL7 via HL7 to another listener. So that's good for transformation and stuff. But for purposes of us today, we are going to be doing a database writer. I suggest I use PostgreSQL as my database engine. And I just have to populate the connection URL, supply it some credentials, and that's my destination. Now, before we go any further into the bottom pane, what we need to do is how in the world are we going to get the message segments and build them into variables? And how we do that is through a transformer. Now, the transformer is pretty simple. You basically create your transformer by the use of adding steps. Now, before we get started with steps, I want to show you a neat little tool over here that they've added that allows you to kind of parse the HL7 message and be able to drag and drop that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get an HL7 message, and I'm going to go ahead and drag that into this pane over here. Oops. Grab that in that pane over there, and it'll parse out our HL7 tree. So that's kind of neat. So now what we have to do in building our variables is this: we add a step. Now, the step is a type mapper. I want to map the step. I want to take the step. I want to map it to a variable. My variable is last name. Okay? Now, where do we find last name? I think PID-1, and we go ahead and map that to that particular part of the segment. Boom. Pretty neat, eh? And we're going to go ahead and add another one. We're going to add another step, which is first name, and we're going to go ahead and drag and drop the first name. So once we're done with that, we go back to our channel, and you notice over here in our destination mappings, look what we've got available to us now. We've got two variables that we can put in our select statement. So let's do that. Trying to save time here so you don't have to painfully watch me type. And as you can see here, last name is the destination. I can do it like this too. Let's do this so you can understand how easy it is to drag and drop here. I'm going to get first name out of there. First name. And then last name. Whoops, did I do that wrong? I did. So I will go ahead and drop last name in there. Oops, you see how we built our statement. So everything looks good here. We're going to go ahead and validate our form. Everything seems to check out. We're going to save our changes. We're going to go back to the source. Let's check the source. We'll be listening on 6661. That's where we're going to send our test message. Looks like it's enabled. Looks like it's started. Go back to our channels. And in order to get it to work now, we need to deploy it. And once we deploy the channel, which means it's actively being used, it will show up in our status pane. So to wait for that to show up in our status pane, we're going to go ahead and send it a test message. And what we use for that is HL7 browser from newell.org. I like all of their tools. I'm going to go ahead and edit this message. I'll just add some names in here. Oops. So we're going to do that. We're going to now set it up. So we're going to send it to our listener, which was on port. We're going to connect. And we're going to send it. If we get an ACK back, which is good, we got it back. We should be able to come into here, see our database. Whoop, there it is. There's Kevin Harvick. He has showed up as one of our patients. So we show Kevin here. Obviously, this is just two of the variables that we used for this demo. We could have populated all kinds of stuff in this particular patient record. But for purposes of the small screencast, we are done. So that will conclude it. Hope you gave you a quick way to look at Mirth. If you follow this tutorial and you read the messages on the message board and sign up over at Mirth, you'll probably be just a little bit behind me since I've just picked this up. But there you go, Mirth. Good stuff. Thanks for tuning in.